Am I scared? Yes. But will I make it? Hopefully. Hi guys, my name is Valery and I'm a real Prague guide. And today for our video we are visiting Vinohrady, one of the poshest and most desirable neighborhoods in Prague. Recently, Time Out magazine included this place in its list of 50 coolest neighborhoods in the world. Vinohrady ranked number 32, which is pretty good. But is it really that great? Is it really that perfect? Wait till the end of the video to learn something surprising about Vinohrady. But for now, let's go and explore. Vinohrady translates as the Royal Vineyards, and by the name you can guess that this place is really bougie. In fact, it has been a neighborhood of bourgeoisie for such a long time that even the Communist Party could not leave it independent and had to restructure it and unite it with Prague 3 and Prague 10 district. Yep, some of you Praguers will be surprised to find out that Vinohrady isn't strictly marked as Prague 2. The borders are much more stretched out. So now when you look at the map of Vinohrady, it literally looks like a or an elephant. Whatever you see here, it's a bit of a Rorschach test. I guess I failed it. Right now we are in Naměstí Míru, and as you can see we already have a Christmas market here. We're not gonna go there now because it's usually better to visit those in the evening, but this Christmas market is very famous and it's very popular because it's usually the first one to open in Prague. Oh, naive Valery from the past doesn't know that the Christmas markets will be closed by the Czech government in a couple of days. Okay, back to the video. If I had to choose the most iconic, recognizable place in Vinohrady, I would pick Vavra convenience store. Joking, of course I'd pick Naměstí Míru. Everyone who lives in Prague knows this square because of the Church of Saint Ludmila, one of the finest examples of neo-Gothic architecture in the city, created by Josef Mocker, same famous architect who worked on the St. Vitus Cathedral. On the northern side of the square, you will notice another famous building, the Vinohrady Theatre, this time neo-Renaissance piece by Alois Čenský. The statues on the rooftop symbolize bravery and truth, somewhat surprising choice for a theater. Oh, and this is where they shot The Illusionist. Naměstí Míru has been the central square of Vinohrady since 1884, except back then it was called after Jan Evangelista Purkyně, a Czech scientist. It was changed into Naměstí Míru, or the Square of Peace, in 1926 and referred to the peace treaty after the First World War. That is why the streets that beam out from the square are named after the countries that signed the treaty. One of the reasons Time Out magazine ranked Vinohrady so highly on their list was because of its cosmopolitan feel. And it's funny because it kind of goes with the street names here. So I'm wondering if the person who was naming them was clairvoyant, because that's basically who lives here now. Vinohrady has one of the biggest expats communities in Prague, and that's why when you come here you rarely hear Czech spoken on the streets. It's mainly English and other different languages. Only in Vinohrady you can see signs like these. So this is one of the most popular restaurants in the area. It's called Las Adelitas. And yeah, margarita, takeaway. Best thing ever. Alright, we are going for a coffee. We went to a very cozy cafe called Letterpress. They do have an actual press, so you can get your business cards printed here.
Vlastně zatlačíme do toho papíru barvu a relief, jo? A tomu se říká právě list.
And get a delicious coffee, of course. With enough caffeine in me, let's go to our next stop, Grebovka Park. Grebovka Park is named after Moritz Grebe, a 19th century entrepreneur who built a neo-Renaissance villa and gardens here. Grebovka and the rest of Vinohrady was damaged during the Second World War bombing that we've talked about in our previous video. But today it's a lovely English-style park that is nice to visit in every season. A gem of Grebovka Park is this artificial grotto that I will show you now. When I saw it for the first time, I was very surprised, but it looks like something that does not belong here really, but very pretty. Anyway, let's go downstairs. It's sort of like a labyrinth. Okay, am I scared? Yes. But will I make it? Hopefully. This is the second level. I'm lost. I don't know where to go. Help. Right. Looks like it's over here. I made it. Lots of us hiding over there. I'm alive. I made it out. In reality, this pretty artificial grotto is usually a place for people to go drink, especially for kids, because they can just grab a beer somewhere and go hide in the cave, literally, and nobody will find them there. So that's what's happening there right now. So I left. I also heard one of the kids saying "Masz nieco," which means "Do you have something on you?" And I told myself that I think it's about and he said,
"Of course it's about I lived here. I did there too."
Oh my God.
I did. Yes.
You did?
Yes.
What did you do there? We'll bleep it out.
Just
Nothing special. Okay. This place is called Royal Vineyards, right? Vinohrady, but that's the first time we actually see the vineyards. I know I've been to Vinohrady many times, I've lived here before, but still, wanted to share my impression of the area. I think every area in Prague has a certain type of people that would live here, and for Vinohrady it's definitely the Bohemian type. A lot of artists, actors, musicians live here, a lot of directors. Because of that, this area is a little bit romanticized, I feel like. You guys, I'm sure, know the expression American dream. Well, Vinohrady is like the Czech dream. One annoying thing about people who live in Vinohrady is that they never want to leave Vinohrady. You try to arrange dinner with them somewhere else in Prague and they will try to lure you back into their beloved neighborhood. And it's lunchtime. And of course we have to pick something vegan or vegetarian because a lot of people who live in Vinohrady are, you know, into buying organic food, doing yoga and eating clean. For lunch, we're going to a vegan restaurant called Hutnej. I've got to admit, this is the best vegan restaurant I've been to. The coconut broccoli soup was delicious. Now we found ourselves at the most photographed street in Vinohrady, Hlužická. If you go to any Czech Instagram, you will see this street here, especially during autumn, because of how low the trees are growing and there are a lot of leaves on the ground, so it makes it very Instagrammable. This little park has a unique view of three very different towers. TV Tower in Žižkov, Art Nouveau Water Tower, and the Constructivist Tower of Hus Congregational House. Speaking of architecture, I think you should visit Vinohrady if you like architecture or maybe if you want to rent an apartment, because Vinohrady was built in 19th century, so a lot of these older buildings have very spacious apartments with a lot of light and high ceilings, so these are one of the best ones out there. The one unattractive thing about the apartments here is the price, because the rents are very expensive and they're becoming more and more so every year. And when I say expensive, I mean selling your internal organs to pay rent. expensive. If you're looking for an apartment which is more than 50 square meters large with a relatively new renovation, like 10-20 years new, well, it's in Prague, it can be 100 years old, right? You're going to be paying around 20 to 25,000 crowns per month. And that is almost all of your average income in the Czech Republic. Koruni Street is where you should head out if you are looking for a restaurant, bar, or cafe. It's like Dlouhá Street in the Old Town, quite literally. It's also long. Okay, and here we are at Jiřího's Poděbrad, aka JZP as cool expats call it. Here we cannot ignore the Church of Most Sacred Heart of Our Lord. It's a modernist church designed by the architect of the Prague castle Jožef Plečnik. This church symbolizes Noah's Ark. The white stripes on the walls resemble the royal cape or hermelin. No, not that one, this one. On top you can see the imperial orb, and the tower clock is the biggest one in the Czech Republic. When I lived here, I always thought that this area was already considered to be Žižkov, so it was also a surprise for me to find out that it's still Vinohrady, including the beautiful church. Anyway, now we are heading out to the next park. It will be our last big stop, and we'll see you guys there. And here we have more beautiful buildings that I'm starting to get sick of. They're all very beautiful art. Oh, but this one has a cool sculpture. Let me show you. Our last stop is Riegrovy sady. In summer, this garden is packed with locals and tourists, mainly in the evening, to observe the sunset. But in winter, it's pretty empty. During the lockdowns, a lot of people would come to this park for picnics, especially when the weather was nice. So the police would have to come here and announce that they all should leave because we are in the middle of the pandemic. And now I guess I should tell you, as I promised, why Vinohrady is not such a good area to live in Prague, and that's pollution. Prague too, in general, is one of the most polluted areas in the whole Czech Republic's capital. So that's quite interesting because none of the articles and none of the videos about Vinohrady ever mention that it's one of the most polluted areas in Prague. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week. Bye!